You are going to die, just as well as I. This entire construct that you perceive yourself to be is going to perish, going to no longer be here. This human organism, its mind, is going to cease. And for many people, that is a disappointing news. Obvious, but disappointing, because they want to continue this life perpetually. They don't want to face the facts that this is about to perish sooner rather than later. Because a human life is so short. And sure, we may have technological advancements that may improve longevity, sure, but in the grand midst of things, it is short. I have had so many deaths occur in my life, not only to people very close to me, but also in myself, to have to witness my own death process and see the untangling of the egoic structures just fall apart it's ravenous, it's wild, and it can be quite chaotic and fearful. And I think that underlying fear of death is natural. It is built into the organism, sure. But why? Why do we actually fear death in the first place? Because we associate ourselves to be this thing that we know will die. We don't see past that, oftentimes. We don't realize what we are more than. We don't, oftentimes at least, recognize the truth of our being, the truth that we are immortal. And even to say that we are immortal is saying too much, because what we are is not born and doesn't die. What we are is all pervasive. And you cannot have an experience of not existing. So what does that tell you? It tells you that this core of existence itself, prior to being associated with a subject or object, this pristine, pure existence, this raw existence itself, cannot be taken away. You cannot subtract it, because it is the underlying principle of what is. In order for something to be, there must be that aliveness, that existence, in order for it to sprout from that, to sprout within that, to take place in that. And you are that. So you that fear dying, yes, it makes sense, because you are not that you. that small construct will untangle and die. And you, whatever you are, we cannot entirely say, but that will continue on. But the thing that we then have to question is, what form will that take, if any? Because are you going to migrate to another life, another human life, another extraterrestrial life, another dimensional life? Are you going to take another form? And for what purpose? What are you going to do? What is the purpose of taking form? I want to really pierce this question in your mind, because we assert that taking form is worthwhile because we are currently in form as human beings. But why? Why do we fear the void? What are we afraid of in not being necessarily? In not having anything tangible to describe or to associate with? What is this fear about? Because I used the word existence before, but in truth, existence means to stand apart. So why are we afraid of just simply existing without having to stand apart? We want to stand apart. We want subjectivity. We want objectivity. And many people assume that this world is either completely nihilistic, meaningless, and devoid of any purpose, Others might say that there is a grand purpose. We are here for greatness, for the good and benefit of all, to love each other, to learn, to discover, to grow in ourselves, because what we are apparently isn't already all-knowing and all-pervasive, right? That we are somehow still limited in our capacity, even seen from a higher dimensional, more expansive point of view. Many people still think that we are here to learn, that this is a school. And nothing could be further from the truth. It may be true at a certain relative level, yeah. But what are you beyond that? What are you beyond the soul level? Are you willing to face your fears and discover that? Can you be in the midst of the death process and allow all those narratives, no matter how expanded they might be, to simply fall away? Facing the void means to be entirely engulfed and consumed by it. Truth is not a building upon, it is not a discovery in which you add onto your previously existent knowledge of what is. No. It is a destructive process. It is a process of deteriorating, of breaking apart. And it is not comfortable. It is not going to be easy for the you that you consider yourself to be. But I think it is worthwhile to ponder what would be left if everything were taken away from you, from your experience, from what you consider yourself to be. To go through the layers of identification that you have constructed and has been constructed for you, and just peel them one by one. And how do you do that? Well, first you lay down or sit, closed eyes, and just notice your experience. Notice this thought arising in the field of your being, this sensation, that feeling. And more subtly, you may notice the sense of I, this qualified sense of I, this I that carries a sense of energy to it, some heaviness to it. It has density. And beyond that, you may find more subtle layers of identification still. And even the very fact of perceiving and knowingness itself is also known. So you can take more and more steps back, if you will. And I sometimes attribute it to, imagine you're in this cocoon and just there's multiple layers, like soap bubbles, if you will, and you're standing in the center part of it, just popping them internally, one by one, realizing that you are in fact this greater space in which these bubbles appear. That is how it feels. And it is adventurous in this way. You don't quite always know what lies on the other side, but you just surrender, you drop into this vastness, this void, and allow yourself to fall away. Allow what you once perceived yourself to be to fall away, to see what lies beyond. Because you can rest in that knowingness that you are that which you discover beyond. And that in fact you aren't really beyond, you are and have always been right here. That the truth that you're looking for is not somewhere else. That is the gift of this, because that means you're not on a quest somewhere other than here. You're not going from A to B, you are already both A and B at the same center point. And there's a great paradox to that. There's a great mystery to that. And there's a beauty to be found. A beauty in death. And that is why I have come to discover that when people close to me die, I don't grieve them in the same way, because I recognize that although they may return to some form and, in a sense, self-imprison themselves in a new type of reality of subject and objectivity, that at least they went through either entirely or partially this disentanglement, this untangling of their previously fixated identity. And that in that moment they realized something greater. They realized that inherent freedom which they tasted, in contrast to this narrow and fixated construct that we take ourselves to be. So please check out the description, join my Discord server on there. It's a small, hopefully growing community of like-minded people who are here to discover, here to learn, here to find out what this whole thing is. And yeah, thank you for listening. Bye.